I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're just rolling out of bed, you're sipping your morning coffee or tea, or you're just sitting in traffic on your way to work, wherever you are right now, I want you to know you showed up, and that's all that matters. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most quoted and honestly most misunderstood lines in the entire history of motivation. It comes from Henry Ford, the man who literally changed the way the world moves. And yet, his most powerful invention wasn't the automobile, it was the idea. This idea, this one sentence that has the power to unlock or lock your entire life. What is that sentence? Let me let you know what it is. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. 7 seconds to read, a lifetime to truly understand. Let's get into it. What is Ford actually saying? On the surface, this quote sounds like one of those feel good, positive thinking lines that gets slapped on a motivational poster and forgotten by Tuesday. But there is something much deeper happening here. Henry Ford isn't talking about wishful thinking. He's saying, just believe. He isn't saying, just believe and magic will happen. He's saying, he's talking about the architecture of belief, how what we believe about ourselves quite literally determines what we create in our lives and become our reality. Ford builds an entire empire and he watched people around him fail, he watched people around him succeed. And what he noticed, the pattern he kept seeing was this: the deciding factor wasn't intelligence, wasn't money, it wasn't even opportunity. It was the story the person told themselves. And because I'm a science girly, I looked a little deeper into this and I found out that neuroscience now backs this up completely. When you believe something is possible for you, your brain enters what researchers call a approach state, and it starts scanning for opportunities, solutions, and next steps. And your activating system, it filters your brain and decides what information to pay attention to, what to start flagging relevant information that supports your goal, and doors that were always there suddenly become visible. But the flip side is equally true. And this is a part we don't like to talk about. When you believe you can't, your brain enters an avoidance state and it flags threats, it finds evidence for your limitations. You stop even noticing the doors. They might as well not even exist. And your belief isn't just motivating you, it's literally shaping the reality, your perspective, and therefore your reality you can act in. Henry Ford wasn't born into success. This is very important to remember. He grew up on a farm in a rural Michigan in 1860s and he had no formal engineering training. When he started working on his gasoline buggy, what would eventually become, as we know, as cars, people around him called it a hobby at best, a waste of time at worst. His own father told him it was foolishness. His colleague at Edison, where he worked as an engineer, thought it was eccentric. When he approached investors with his vision, most of them laughed at him. Can you imagine someone laughing at the invention of a car? But Henry Ford had belief. That wasn't that belief was absolutely unshakable, and he believed that automobile was coming. He believed he was the one to build it, and he believed that the single unwavering internal conviction, this belief caused him to keep working, to keep solving problems, to keep showing up even when every external signal said to stop. Now, compare that to people around him who saw the same opportunity and walked away. Were they less intelligent? Probably not. Did they have fewer resources? Not always. The difference was the story running in the background of their minds. This is too hard. I don't have the right background. Someone else will figure it out. I just can't do it. And they were right. They couldn't. Not because the universe decided against them, but because they decided against themselves first. Let that sink in. So, ownership, the real theme underneath this quote, I want to talk about what I believe is the deepest message in this quote. Is something I call radical ownership. Most of us talk about, most of us, we walk around thinking our circumstances are determined or determining our outcomes. And we think, I can't get ahead of myself because of this economy. I can't change because of how I was raised. I can't succeed because of what happened to me. And look, some of those things are real. Life is, it's not fair. And not everyone starts from the same place. I'm not here to dismiss your struggles or dismiss your pain, but I'm here to discuss what Ford is pointing at. Regardless of your circumstances, your belief about what's possible for you is yours. It belongs to you. No one gave it to you, and no one can take it away from you. And that means this is the most important thing I'll say today. You are the author of your limitations, just as you are the author of your possibilities. This is both humbling and, in my opinion, incredibly freeing. Because if your belief are the starting point of your outcome, then changing your outcome starts with you. Not with your boss, not with the economy, not with your past, with you. Now, I know what some of you are thinking because this was what I was thinking before as well. But I've tried positive thinking before and it just didn't work. Here's a distinction I want you to hear. Ford isn't talking about surface level affirmations. He's not saying type something on your mirror and your life will change. He's basically talking about deep narrative, the identity level belief, the story you tell yourself about who you are fundamentally. There's a difference between thinking, I believe this project will work, or I believe that this goal will be accomplished, and believing at your core, at your entire existence, I am someone who figures things out. This first is a hope. The first is a hope. The second is an identity. Ford is talking about the second level, and that level takes real work to shift. So, how do you shift this? From my experience, or from what I'm learning as I currently retire my old habits of bad thinking and stepping into more positive, better, intentional way of thinking, I came up with 3 solutions. First, evidence collection. Our beliefs are built on evidence. Often beliefs we collected, a long time ago. Often under a difficult circumstance, through the lens of a child or a scared young adult. Start collecting new evidence. What have you done that was hard? And how did you accomplish it? What problems have you solved? What did you overcome? Your brain needs updated evidence to update its consciousness and to update its conclusion. Maybe you need evidence externally. What have other people done? And if they can do it, then of course you can do it too. The second thing is environment design. It's almost impossible to hold a belief that no one around you holds. If every person in your life believes small, you will constantly be fighting to believe bigger. So start intentionally placing yourself physically or digitally around people whose beliefs expand yours. People always say you are who you surround yourself with, and this is exactly that. Third, action before feeling. And this one's where it's the hardest. Most of us wait until we feel like we can, like when we feel like we can before we try, right? That's what I found out about my health life. I kept saying, I'll wait, I'll wait, I'll wait, I'll wait. And I never actually tried. But Ford is telling us that it's backwards. You don't believe your way to action, you act your way to your belief. Take the small steps before you feel ready and watch that belief begin to form. And that's exactly what this channel is all about. Taking those actions to retire your old habits and stepping into the best version of yourself. So, let me make this practical for Monday morning. And if you're still listening, thank you so much. And I hope you're finding this useful. I want you to think about one area of your life right now where you're stuck. Just one. It might be your career, a relationship, your health, I don't know, a creative project, a financial goal. Just pick one. After you pick that one, I want you to ask yourself, what do I actually believe is possible for me to do in this area? Not what you wish were true, not what sounds good to say, but what do you actually gut level believe? If that belief is limiting, and for most of us, in at least one of these areas, it is, then no strategy, no tactic, no advice in the world will get you where you want to go because you're basically self-sabotaging every opportunity. You'll unconsciously prove yourself right that you can't do whatever it is that you want to do. But if you can start to shift that belief even slightly, everything becomes possible. The goal isn't to believe you can do everything perfectly. That's impossible. The goal is to believe that you are capable of figuring it out as you go, that you can learn, that you can adapt, that the failure isn't the end of the story, that the belief Ford had, the belief that built an empire, is what you can have and what you will gain. And here's what I want you to take with you into this week. Every thought you think about your capabilities is a vote. A vote for who you're becoming. Every time you catch yourself saying, I can't, you're casting a vote against yourself. Every time you replace it not with fake positivity, but with honest possibility, I haven't figured it out yet, or I'm learning this, or I'm the kind of person who doesn't give up. You cast a vote for a bigger version, a better version of yourself, and you're retiring those votes that work against yourself. So vote wisely this week. Before we close, I want you to sit with one thing. Your belief about yourself is not a fixed fact. It's a running story. And every single day you get to be an author of that story. Henry Ford didn't start with certainty, he started with conviction. And there's a difference. Certainty requires proof, conviction, it only requires a decision. Make the decision this week. Decide what kind of person you're becoming. Decide what's possible for you, and then take one small action that proves it to yourself, because that's the only person that matters. All right. So, if this episode moved you, if you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who you feel like needs to hear what I had to say today, and to carry them into the week in a more positive way. Um, and leave me a comment below on what that thing is that you're choosing to believe in this week. Subscribe if you haven't already, and come back next Monday. I'll be doing this every Monday, discussing my understanding of what a quote means, and I'll be going over the most popular quotes. I'm rooting for you this week. This week is your week. Let's go make something happen, and I'll see you next Monday. I'll put some reflective questions in the description and journal entries for anyone that's looking to dive a little bit deeper. Thanks, and looking forward to your subscription and joining the community. Bye.